And here is the Writer's Almanac for Tuesday. It's the 12th of May, 2020. It's the birthday of the poet and artist Edward Lear, born in London, 1812, who went on to give us all of those wonderful limericks and The Owl and the Pussycat and more. He was the 20th of 21 children, about half of whom died in infancy. He himself suffered from epilepsy and fits of deep depression, which he called the morbids. He started selling his drawings when he was just 16. He found employment as a sign painter, then an illustrator. He was hired by the London Zoological Society to produce a series of bird paintings, then hired by Edward Stanley, the Earl of Derby, to document the animals in the Lord's private zoo, where Edward Lear met the Earl's grandchildren and began writing poetry for them, including The Owl and the Pussycat. It's the birthday of Florence Nightingale, born in Florence, Italy, to a wealthy English family in 1820. Over her parents' objection, she decided that she wanted to be a nurse. Nursing was a working-class job at the time, and her parents were horrified. But she went to school, and during the Crimean War, she went off to Turkey to take care of English soldiers. Conditions in the field hospitals were appalling, and she began a campaign to reform them. But she thought mistakenly that the high death rates were due to poor nutrition, and it wasn't until after the war that she realized that sanitation was the problem. She went on after the war to fight for hospital reform and the education of nurses, and became one of the most famous women in Great Britain. Founded a school of nursing in 1860, but she suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, and after the war she became an invalid herself. Here's a poem for today by Dorianne Laux, entitled Fog. The first of us must have looked up at the night agog, so many stars, so much light falling down, the bugs back then big as fists, so many rivers and ponds clogged with fish, we skewered them on sticks, made a fire, bred dogs from wolves to keep us warm, safe, pines wrapped in fog or morning mist, the sheep braying beside us, groggy, their bellies filled with wet grass, the feral pigs become hogs in a pen, cloven hooves slathered in mud. We built jagged fences to keep what we didn't want out, what we did in. Logs were dragged through a field by horses. A house rose, mugs placed on a shelf, a table set with plates. Then the nagging began. Who left the feed bag in the rain? Who forgot to plug the hole with a rag? The children grew little quagmires we sank into. We fed them, scrubbed them, raised them, rang a bell for supper, school for the one who died, the soggy earth taking her back, the others running unaware, tagging each other in the dusk, calling out numbers, but still the vague unrest in the dark, looking up at the moon, the old dog wagging his tick-laden tail, barking for no reason they could tell, zagging off like an uncle drunk on bust-head whiskey back into the trees. A poem entitled Fog by Dorianne Laux from The Book of Men, published by W. Norton and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.